Hey everyone, recently I've had some of the best Korean barbecue experiences I've ever had, including one place that used the biggest stone grill that I've ever seen. I'll show you 3 places that I visited recently, as Vietnam is still lingering.
Hello.
I'm at Veteran Barbecue. This is the first Korean barbecue I went to on my first night in Da Nang, Vietnam. This place is pretty large, a very nice setup. I was fairly impressed, but mostly impressed by this giant stone grill. If you ever have a chance to come to Da Nang, Vietnam, you've got to experience this. Needless to say, I couldn't wait to try my first bite. The meats looked really good. Everything was a little bit different here from your traditional Korean barbecue, at least the ones I'm used to in California and Las Vegas. But the meats were very high quality, grilled very well off of the temperature of that hot stone grill. The green onions here was in some sort of a sesame oil mix. It kind of gave it a watered down texture, slightly blanched feeling. Although it wasn't blanched, I think it was drenched with the sesame oil. I had never really had anything like this. It went really well with the highly marbled thin slices of beef. The fat is highly prized in Korean barbecue. It comes with a really rich taste, a buttery taste from the fat of the beef. And every table is set up with an impressive array of vegetables. And how impressive is this? The oyster mushrooms had the Veteran Restaurant logo branded on them. The service here is excellent. The staff meets every night after closing to discuss operations. That's quality assurance right there. The vegetables were fresh and they were abundant, but it was the cuts of meat that really impressed me. The owner doesn't overly marinate his meat. He had formal training and he loves meat. He believes in the quality of meat and he takes extra care to preserve the purest and best quality taste of the meats. Although usually I prefer to cook my own meats at Korean barbecues, I really enjoyed the tableside service of the staff. After a great experience of eating something so good, sometimes the nostalgic memory comes back. And even as I'm editing this video, I remember how good this was. The thinly, buttery, rich taste of the beef mixed with the scallions and the sesame oil. They even had steamed egg, which is normally served at Korean barbecues, but this place was a little bit unique, its own style. The thinly sliced scallions has more of a raw onion taste. It's like raw onions versus grilled onions on your burger. Kind of gives it more of a bite. A good contrast when you're eating something very rich like this. But I kind of mixed it with everything. Both versions gave it a great accompaniment to the beef. I was extremely pleased to find a good Korean barbecue here in Da Nang. It's been raining a lot and I was a little bummed because I couldn't go up to the mountains to tour the iconic places I came to see. But I decided to take a risk and do it anyway. I'm at Bana Hills Sun World. It's sort of a theme park about 45 minutes from Da Nang. They have the world's largest cable car. They set all kinds of world records for this cable car system that they have up here. There are tons of YouTube videos. The thing that I most wanted to see was the infamous Golden Bridge, where there are these two hands just holding up a bridge. One of the true wonders of the world. But it was raining. It had been raining, and most likely there was going to be a mist covering the whole scenery. Kind of like the Grand Canyon when it's filled with clouds or mist. So I was depressed about the weather, but I decided to go up anyways since I'm here. It's a long ways from home. And it was surreal. Cable cars just coming out of the foggy mist, appearing and then disappearing. It felt like I was in a dream world, just covered in mist. And then I saw the hands. I thought this place would be deserted, but I found that there were many people who came up here. Imagine if the weather was good, this place would be crowded. It's one of the most visited places as people are finding out more and more about the Golden Bridge and this Bana Hills theme park. This is actually the French Village. They have a number of beautiful architecture, flowers, places where you could take pictures for Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever you do, just photography. This place is amazing. And look, another Korean barbecue. I actually felt a little bit inspired by all the people who made the journey up here in spite of such bad weather. Most of the places were not visible because of the weather, the fog, and the mist, but it was still majestic, even with all this. I was glad just to be able to behold it with my eyes. These hands on the bridge, just unique, incredibly unique, a sight to behold and something that I really wanted to see. So I was really content now because I had seen it. I'm here, even with the mist. I'm not much for sightseeing, but this was something that I'll never forget. I'll treasure this experience for the rest of my life, along with all the other wonderful memories of this trip to Vietnam. I can even go so far as to say my life will never be the same after making this trip, because now I know how big the world is. There are places and people living in other parts of this world, and this world is really big. You can see and experience things that you never dreamed you could. And it's all because I started watching YouTube, believe it or not. The Sun World theme park usually has games open. You can play games, they have some rides. Maybe I'll have a chance next time to show you. So now let's get back to Veteran Restaurant. I was having a really good experience here as well, as there were other cuts of meat, tons of other cuts. I didn't get to try everything. Some of the cuts they have are like premium quality steaks. I would love to try it, it's just that I was getting pretty full. The stone grill was leaving a really good char on the meats and making it taste really good. I had never had anything like this. The whole setup in the restaurant with all the wonderful sides, the sides that you normally find in a Korean barbecue. So it is a Korean barbecue, but I really found this place to be unique, a little different with a style of its own. As the marinades, none of them were really sweet, and the owner told me he did that on purpose to preserve the true taste of the meat, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Now for these, I started to make the wraps with the vegetables. The leafy lettuce wraps with a little bit of garlic, chili, and then the Korean samjang, which is kind of like a sweet bean paste. And I started to like these chopped green onions and sesame oil more and more as I ate, because they were so wonderful. I had to put them in every wrap. These pink things are pickled radishes. It gives the effect of putting pickles into a burger, that kind of counters the rich taste of the meat. They're wonderful, adds a great texture, a little crunch to your wrap. I've explained in my previous Korean barbecue videos that you can make wraps any way you want them, or not make them at all. Some people, and even myself sometimes, I would just prefer to eat the meat itself with a little bit of salt, sometimes a little bit of sauce. And when I'm in the mood, I'll put them in these wraps, and they are wonderful. Great contrast of texture, flavors, healthy, a little healthier anyway because you're adding the vegetables. Just wonderful. I love these wraps. But I don't put every cut of meat into the wraps. Some of the steaks I would just eat on its own. And even the thinly sliced ribeye or beef slices, I would just prefer with just a little bit of salt, sometimes a little green onion and sesame oil, like the one that they provide here. But Veteran Korean Barbecue was one of my favorites. Now here's another place, Dom Dom Buffet. I don't know if I said that right, but anyway, details in the description for all restaurants. I don't know if I would consider this place to be a Korean barbecue. I'm not sure, but there is Korean barbecue and Korean dishes as well as a Vietnamese variation. A lot of the local Vietnamese tasting side dishes were excellent. I loved those. And here they had a large quantity of oysters and some seafood such as shrimp and squid. Now all of this was in addition to the cuts of meat they had. Some of these dishes I've never tasted in Korean barbecues or Asian barbecues in the United States. These were wonderful as well. I love the oysters and the squid, a little bit different. I've never had anything like that either, but I loved every single item at this restaurant. My favorite things at this barbecue were the side dishes and the oysters. They came with a little bit of topping, some of them with cheese, and if you've never had cheese with shellfish, it's really, really good. I love cheese and shellfish together. They even have the fresh version of the oysters, although they are topped with different toppings. I guess you could ask for them without any if you like fresh oysters. If you're really considering coming here, if you're interested or you live near here and you want to come, I recommend you look at the website so they'll explain all the prices and the different options you have. I was just going with the flow and trying this and that, and I wasn't paying much attention to prices or other things. I was looking at just the pictures, the items that look good, and I was just enjoying myself. After all, this is still my vacation video. The meats here were good with the wraps. Just like most other places, you can't go wrong with good meats and a good vegetable wrap. The squid was kind of unique. It had the filling in there. I don't know if that's the egg, but they seem to eat it this way here in Vietnam and in Thailand, I believe. This place gave me the feeling of one of those places where you can have a ton of food and a variety of food and just go all out. The third place I'm going to feature tonight is a Korean barbecue we just happened to come by because I tried to go back to Veteran and they were fully booked. Because it was a Saturday night, so availability was limited. This place was very similar to a lot of the Korean barbecue places in the US. They had your LA kalbi and they had Korean side dishes as well as regular Korean dishes. The inside seating was a bit crowded, so we chose to sit outside. They have some tables outside as well as Veteran Barbecue. I'm not sure about Dum Dum, I don't remember. But this place had outdoor seating and it wasn't bad. It was actually nice with a cool breeze. They changed the grill pretty regularly here and the meats were pretty okay quality. I wouldn't say premium, but they were pretty decent. They even had Korean cold noodles. This is probably very little known outside of the Korean culture. I touched on this a few times in my other videos, but it is extremely addicting. The barbecues were all good. Some of the meats just grilling, you just can't go wrong. They're always gonna be good. And these days, editing on an empty stomach makes me hungry. I start craving the foods that are in my video. There are a lot of Korean barbecues in Vietnam. They are abundant and they are good. I was really impressed. But that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching and we'll see you on the next video.